ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਅਕਸਰ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ that all politics is local, but ਕੁਝ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਨੋਟੋਰਾਈਟੀ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਲ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਨ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇੱਕ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਕਾਂਗਰਸਮੈਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਕੁਰਸੀ ਕੁਝ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਹੈਡਲਾਈਨਸ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। I'm talking about George Santos. ਕਾਂਗਰਸਮੈਨ ਸੈਂਟੋਸ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਲੰਬਾ ਚਿੱਠਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ, but it brings me great pleasure to introduce you to the woman who is running to unseat George Santos, our very own New Yorker, Miss Anna Kaplan. First of all, Ms. Kaplan, it's a pleasure to have you back on the program. Welcome. Sat Sri Akal. Namaste. How's it going on your end?
Namaste. Thank you so much, Ashmita, for having me. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to reconnect with your audience. I'm not new to your audience. We've done many interviews together, and I'm looking forward to working with you even more.
Ms. Kaplan, in some of our previous interviews, you've talked a lot about your previous role as state senator from New York's 7th district right here in New York, in Long Island, a very well-educated, affluent part of the country. Ms. Kaplan, you are now running to represent your constituents in Washington, D.C. You're running to unseat George Santos. First of all, congratulations on this campaign. How has it been running a campaign against a congressman, a freshman congressman, who's already become infamous worldwide?
Couldn't agree with you more. I have to tell you, it is really disheartening to see that in this district, a district that has a lot of residents that are immigrants, but very well educated, very affluent district, to be represented by a con man and not to really have someone who's our voice in Congress. It is hurting every constituent, every resident in the 3rd Congressional District. And I jumped into this race in middle of May. I made an announcement that I'm running for this seat through a video. And I invite everyone to go to anna4ny.com, view the video. The video has gone viral. We have gotten over 1.6 million views. Just a few days after the video was sent out, I did interviews with CNN, and we've been up and running. I'm proud to say this is a very grassroots campaign in this district. I am the only woman running for this seat, and I believe I'm the best candidate that can win this seat.
Ms. Kaplan, let's talk a little bit about some of the campaign positions you've been taking on this trail. You know, you've now said that you feel that you're uniquely qualified to represent this district. George Santos and his, illustrious young career aside, what do you want our viewers to know about the kind of representation they would get were you to represent them in Congress?
First of all, I think a lot of your viewers know who I am. I served for 7 years in town council for town of North Hempstead, and then 4 years in New York State Senate, representing the 7th Senate District, which majority of it before redistricting line is included in the 3rd Congressional District.
Right.
This is a grassroots campaign. I can tell you that I've had already over 15,000 people who have donated to my campaign.
Wow.
My campaign for Senate was very much the same. I ran on some of key issues that are important, not only for the residents in this district, but really to Americans, majority of Americans throughout this country. I ran because I wanted to make sure we codify Roe in state of New York, and I would like to do that nationally. We all saw last year how a 49-year-old bill, a 49-year-old law was overturned.
Roe versus Wade, absolutely.
That's right. And it is really imperative. I think it is the want and the need of majority of Americans throughout this country. And just because we are safe here in New York and we've codified it in New York, it doesn't mean that we are totally safe. As we have seen, a judge in a small county in Texas can ban a medication that we all use throughout this country. I'm running because I want to make sure we codify Roe nationally. Mm-hmm. I also made a promise that we would pass sensible gun laws in New York State Senate when I was running.
Right.
I would like to do the same thing nationally. I believe that everyone who wants to own a gun should go through a background check, and every gun should have a serial ID number so that it could be tracked down.
Common sense measures.
Common sense. And I have to tell you, one of my proudest moments in the Senate was when we passed my legislation banning ghost guns in New York, which has become a model for the White House to adopt. Mm-hmm. 80% finished receivers are the guns that you can sit behind your computer, anyone, even a teenager, can order an 80% finished receiver online, have it delivered to their home within a matter of 3 days, and assemble it in less than an hour, have a fully automatic gun or AR-15 without going through a background check and without having any serial ID number on it.
I mean, it's exactly that kind of behind the scenes work that exposes how little some of these issues are state issues and how much they need federal legislation to protect Americans across the board. Ms. Kaplan, in addition to the work that you've done, which now is apparent that you plan to continue at the federal level in your bid for Congress, I want to touch a little bit about your background, your heritage, especially as it relates to some of the devastating stories coming out of the Middle East crisis, the Israel-Hamas war, which is ongoing, entering its 10th day. Ms. Kaplan, we're going to stop for a quick break right here. Please don't go anywhere. Viewers, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹੋ. Ms. Anna Kaplan, former state senator from New York, is talking with us about her bid for Congress and some other big stories. We'll see you on the other side of the break. ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੁੜ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲੋਕਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਦੀ ਕਵਾਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡਾ ਅਹੁਦਾ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਅੱਜ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੁੜੇ ਹਨ ਜੋ ਲੋਕਲ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੱਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਰਚ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਮੀ ਇਨ ਵੈਲਕਮਿੰਗ Miss Anna Kaplan. Ms. Kaplan, welcome back. Former state senator from New York. You're running for Congress. You're running to unseat George Santos. We're not going to spend too much time talking about him. In fact, I want to talk a little bit about your background. You have this uniquely American story. Not just of your struggle, but your success. Ms. Kaplan, in light of the Israel-Hamas war that's taking place, ravaging the Middle East, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background and how this current crisis is deeply personal to you.
So as you said, what we've been watching for the last 10, 11 days is devastation. It is the highest number of deaths of Jewish people after Holocaust. It is a terrorist organization taking over and killing innocent lives. I strongly stand with the State of Israel and support them in wanting to protect their residents. I can tell you as a political refugee myself. I've been blessed to have been elected to one of the highest offices here in New York and represent so many people. And it is important to have diverse voices in every level of government. I think my background is very unique and will bring a very different voice to Congress. I think in light of what's happening, it is really important to make sure that we talk about what Hamas stands for and what this regime in Iran stands for. The Iranian people, for most part, are man-loving and American-loving people. But it's the regime that's doing all the damage. As we have seen, the damage that they're doing and the killing that they're doing to their own residents in Iran, taking the lives of women who are, all that they want is to have their rights back. I think it is really important to highlight what this regime in Iran does and what Hamas has been doing.
Ms. Kaplan, New York has the highest population of the Jewish community outside of Israel. You're looking to represent a portion of these members of the community at the national level in Congress. For those folks listening across the board right now, what do you have to say specifically on how your roots, your heritage will help you be a better congresswoman, a better representative of these constituents in Washington, D.C.?
First of all, not just in my district, but in the hallways of Washington, D.C., in the Capitol, I will talk to people and tell them about my experiences. I will tell them why we need to stand with Israel. Israel has been one of the strongest allies of the United States. We need to make sure right now, in these very difficult times, make it perfectly clear that we stand with them and that they will always have our support. That we will not allow a terrorist regime like Hamas take over. Because we know when they take over in one area, it does not mean that they stop there. We saw ourselves firsthand when 9/11 happened and how devastated we were here in this country. That is exactly what Israel and the Jewish residents in Israel are going through right now.
Do you feel that some of that has rubbed off on people's sense of security outside of the Middle East? How do you feel Jewish communities are, what emotions are they experiencing right now in parts of the United States or New York? Have you had conversations with other members of the community? How are they feeling right now?
I've attended many services and many rallies in the last 10, 11 days. I can tell you there is a lot of sadness in the community and also a lot of resolve for people to come together and all united stand in support of State of Israel. And we understand, especially here also in US, we have seen anti-Semitism at its all-time high. We need to, all of us, to stand together and say that we cannot stand for hate in our communities. Because we all know, if we are familiar with history, there is a hate target to one community first, there will be a second community, and a third right after that.
Yep, absolutely.
That's why it's so important for all of us to stand together, to stand against terrorism and people who are trying to take our freedoms away from us.
Absolutely. And in light of all of this, Ms. Kaplan, I want to take the moment to call out political opportunism as well. We are, in this line of questioning talking about your bid for Congress as well as the crisis in the Middle East. But your opponent, George Santos, has previously claimed to be of Jewish heritage, and that was disproven among his many, many lies. Can you give a quick comment on that as well?
Again, it is unbelievable how he has lied about every single thing about himself, right down to having said that he's a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, that his mother used to work in downtown when 9/11 happened. There isn't a single thing that he has said that has proven to be correct or true. And it is really heartbreaking to see we have someone like him representing this district, because at this moment we have no representation in Congress. And the residents here deserve better than that.
Absolutely. At the very least, they deserve an honest individual representing them in Congress. Ms. Anna Kaplan, former state senator from New York's 7th District.
And if I may, I would like to tell all of your audience that it's been a privilege to really have represented many of them in New York State Senate. I look forward to representing them in Congress. And as I've proven before, I try to represent everyone and be the voice of this district wherever I'm serving. So
Absolutely.
Please go and visit my website, anna4ny.com, and help us in this endeavor. Thank you.
Once again, Ms. Anna Kaplan, running for Congress, running to unseat George Santos, and hoping to bring the experience from your time as a state senator to the halls of Washington, D.C. We wish you and the campaign the best of luck, Ms. Kaplan. Do come and join us again, and hopefully with some good news next time. But until then, we wish you the best of luck. Have a good rest of your evening. Sat Sri Akal. Namaste. Take care.
Namaste. Thank you.
Once again, Ms. Kaplan, Congress ਦੀ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ anna4newyork.com ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।